If you've used Excel for any length of time, you've probably found yourself in a situation where you need to find a specific value on one sheet, in a list on another sheet, or maybe in another workbook altogether. In this video, I'm going to show you all about VLOOKUP. Stick around. Welcome to Hey Ivan, a channel where you can ask tech questions. Got a tech question? Drop a comment and I'll give you an answer. Don't have a question? Click like if you find value in the video. Thanks. Let's jump into Excel so I can show you how to use VLOOKUP. What I have here is a list of people, and each person has a title. And if you look on this other sheet here, I have a list of rates per hour. So for each title, there's a corresponding rate per hour that goes along with it. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to take that value from the rate per hour list and bring it over to the rows where it corresponds. Now I'll let you know, for all of the years that I've been using Excel, most of the time when I need VLOOKUP, it's for a situation like this. There are many instances where one sheet might contain one bit of information and another sheet might contain other information, and you'd like to tie those two together. VLOOKUP can do that for you. So we'll start by clicking this empty cell here. And if you haven't used functions a lot in Excel, I do have another video that talks about how you can access all of the functions in Excel. You can get Excel to show you how to use each function and how to get a valid result. So we're going to select this empty cell. We're going to click the function button here next to the formula bar. And right here in the insert function dialog box, I'm going to type the word lookup as one word and press enter to search for any function that might relate to looking up a value in a list. And I see a number of results here. The first is lookup, which is provided for backward compatibility, so I'm going to skip over that. There's HLOOKUP, which is a horizontal lookup, and then there's also VLOOKUP. VLOOKUP is a vertical lookup. So if your data is arranged in a vertical stack like mine is here, VLOOKUP is going to be the one that you want. If we look into the box, we'll see that VLOOKUP has 1, 2, 3, 4 values that it may require, and it looks for values in the leftmost column of a table and then returns a value in the same row from a column you specify. By default, the table must be sorted in ascending order. Let's go ahead and click OK, and we get the function arguments dialog box that shows us 4 boxes, which are 4 bits of information that Excel may require. You'll notice the first 3 are bold. Those are required values to get a result. The 4th one is empty. So we'll go through them one by one. Lookup value, that's the value that you're looking for. So in this case, for this row, I want to look for the title. So I'm going to click here on the cell that contains the title, and because I'm using an Excel table, it's referring to the name rather than the cell number. If you'd like to learn more about tables, I created a video that shows you how to use Excel tables. I'll link to it in the description. The table array is where your possible results live. So with VLOOKUP, I'm looking for a specific value from over here, and the table array is where I want to find that value. We're going to click on this other sheet here, rate per hour, and this table array must contain every possible value that you want to find, as well as any possible value you might wish to return. That includes this entire range here from A1 to C6. Now, the important bit of information to remember is that with VLOOKUP, it requires that the table have the possible value that you're looking for in the far left column of that selected range. So you can see here, this far left column is the titles. If title wasn't at the far left of my selection, the VLOOKUP wouldn't work for me. So in this case, I've already arranged my data the way that I want. Title is first, I'm good. So the col index num, that's the value that you might want to return. If I click back here on the table array, you'll see that what I'm looking for is the title. And what I'd like to return is the rate. So if we start counting from the left, column A is the first column, 1. Column B is the second column, 2. So the value that I'd like to put for column index num, that's column 2. So I'm going to type in number 2. And then the third thing here is a logical value to find out whether you want to make VLOOKUP act as a closest match or if you want it to give you an exact match. Over the years, most of the time when I use VLOOKUP, I want an exact match. In order to have it look for an exact match, it needs the word false in this box. So we type false and we press enter. Notice that the first result looks good, right? We get an answer from associate. If I go look at the other sheet here, you'll notice associate 135. That's great. Now, why did the formula copy all the way down the column? Because we're using a table. In an Excel table, you get automatic formula completion, or calculated columns is what they call it. That's in the other video I mentioned earlier. I'm not going to cover that here, but what I do want to show you is that if we double click on this cell to see what our formula looks like, you'll notice that the range that it's looking for is A1 to C6, which is exactly what we wanted. That's over here on the other sheet. A1 here to C6 there. Every possible value we might want to find, as well as every possible value we might want to return. If I double click on the second cell, you'll notice here that this says the range that it's looking to is A2 to C7. And if you look here, the range that we're looking at is A3 to C8. What is A3 to C8? If I go here, A3 to C8. The range that we're looking through in our VLOOKUP as the formula is copied from cell to cell, is shifting. We don't want that. We actually want to stay locked on a particular range. So I'm going to select here the first row, this first example of my formula where A1 to C6 is exactly the range that I want. I'm going to click the FX button here to go back into the function arguments dialog box. I'm going to select this range, the table array, and I'm going to tell Excel, if I copy the formula around, I don't want these values to shift. You can do that by pressing F4 on your keyboard, and that's if you're on Windows. And what that does is it sticks a $sign in front of the A, a $sign in front of the 1, a $sign in front of the 6, and a $sign in front of the C. These $signs mean as I copy my formula up and down, lock the number to A1. Don't allow this A1 value to change. As I copy my formula left and right, don't allow the column value to change either. So by clicking that, when I click OK here, my formula does not shift. At least that part of my formula doesn't shift when I copy my cells around. If you have a question, drop a comment. That's how I use VLOOKUP in practically every situation I find myself in. Now notice, VLOOKUP is constantly looking up. Excel recalculates the value of every formula whenever any cell in your workbook changes. So if this person over here was an associate and we promote them to a partner, when I press enter, you'll notice that the corresponding value has changed from 135 to 350 because the VLOOKUP, as soon as that cell value changes, it looks back in the range and it finds that partners are 350, associates 135. So if you plan to use your VLOOKUP with a closest match, it's important that your table array be sorted in ascending order. Otherwise, you may not get the result that you expect. So let's take a look at this spreadsheet right here. I have sales data. Over here on the left, I see a certain sale amount. Once a salesperson reaches that sale amount, then they're entitled to a certain commission on the right. As you'll notice, the sales dollars are in ascending order. So if a person here were to sell $17,000 of whatever it is, that would entitle them for a certain commission rate. So you can interpret this list as ranges. The first sale amount of $10,000 is 4%. If I sell anywhere between $10,000 up to but not including $15,000, I can earn 4%. If I sell between $15,000 up to but not including $20,000, I can get 5%, and so on. VLOOKUP will allow you to do that without a whole lot of extra overhead. So let's set up our VLOOKUP so you can see how that works. So I'm selecting a blank cell here. I'm going to click the FX button. I'm going to use VLOOKUP, which is a recent function that I've used. For choosing VLOOKUP, this is the value that I'm searching for. What commission do I get if I sell $17,000? The table array includes every possible value that I'd like to find, as well as any possible value I'd like to return. And then here, call index num. When I find the value here in column 1, I want to return the corresponding value in column 2. So that's a 2. Now, for me to use VLOOKUP as a closest match, I can either type the word true in this box or I can leave it empty. I'll leave it empty and let's see what we get. Let's make this look like a percent. We'll click the percent button. That's 5%, which is exactly what I expect. Here, I've sold more than 15,000, but less than 20,000. The VLOOKUP looks to see, do I find the 10,000? No, the number's bigger, so it looks to the next value. Do I find the 15,000? No. Let's look for the next biggest value. Do I find the 20,000? Ooh, that number's too big, so it reverts back to the value from before and returns 5%. However, if our data in the lookup column were not arranged in ascending order, let's say that my data were sorted differently. Custom sort the sale, largest to smallest. Let's see what would happen then. It doesn't work. As you can see, if we use numbers that are not sorted in ascending order, the VLOOKUP formula doesn't know what to do and returns an error as its answer. There's one more important thing you need to know about VLOOKUP, and that is if you have multiple matching values in your table array, VLOOKUP will only return the first match and then it stops looking, regardless of whether you're doing a closest match or an exact match. Let me show you what I mean. So we're gonna go ahead and remove the formulas that are here on our rate per hour. We're gonna click back on the rate per hour sheet. We're gonna add one more row to our table array, and that's gonna be another partner. This partner is gonna get a rate of 200, and we'll notice that the first partner is 200 and the second one is 350. We'll go back to our example list. We'll do VLOOKUP and we'll click our FX button. The lookup value is gonna be title, the table array. We're clicking back on rate per hour, and this is every possible value we might want to find, as well as any possible value we might want to return. If you want to get precise, you can actually say, I don't care about returning this heading row, so we'll just do this range here. Once we find it, we want column 2. We want an exact match, and then let's select this cell here. We'll do our F4 to lock down on that range, and then we'll click OK. Notice that all of the partners are 200, and that's because when you're doing your VLOOKUP, it starts at the top, it looks until it finds the first result, 200, and then it stops. It doesn't look and notice that there's another partner value in the same table array. But that's an important thing to know about VLOOKUP. All right, so that's VLOOKUP. That's everything you need to know about how it works. If you have any questions, drop a comment. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.